feeling of starting a new book draft. Nothing beats it. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new around here, my name is Marcelina. I'm a 15-year-old teen author. I published one book. It is called The Plot That Divides Us. It is a YA mystery romance. However, that is not the focus of today's video. I have quite a few other vlogs and videos, short form videos on my channel all about The Plot That Divides Us. Today we are focused on something that's been taking up a little bit more of my time lately. It is my new book, also a YA mystery romance, because I'm a little bit obsessed with the genre. It is called Labeled Innocent, Presumed Dead, inspired by the Naturals series as well as the Inheritance Game series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, Pretty Little Liars, Blacklist, all that kind of stuff. If that sounds like your cup of tea, it will be out on February 14th next year, 2026. Stay tuned. Now, I have for the last few weeks kind of been on pause with this book because I was in between drafts 2 and 3. It has been with beta readers this entire time. I sent it on Friday, September 5th, so almost exactly 2 weeks ago. Today is currently Saturday, September 20th, 2:30 p.m. And I have a very exciting update. I know this video is long awaited, a little bit delayed because I promised it last week and then I ended up posting a filler video. It still contains really good information, by the way, but I just needed a little bit more time to collect some data, and I'm glad I waited because boy did I collect some more data. Also, before we jump into the content of the video, you can probably tell I sound really weird because I am recovering from a cold. Y'all haven't noticed, I get sick like every 3 months. I'm not even kidding. It's so annoying. Immune system is so weak. I don't know guys, but I've been sick like this whole past week and I'm finally getting over it, but I still sound a little bit congested. So please try to bear with me on that one. I apologize. Let me just explain what's happening. So I have another video all about this. It was sending this book to beta readers. Unlike now, we're going to go through the feedback. But that's kind of a good place to start. Think of that as like part 1 if you really want the context. I reference a couple of things, so I will leave that video in the description down below. If you haven't watched it yet and you want to, then come back to this one. But essentially, I sent Labeled Innocent, Presumed Dead to 4 beta readers. And I'm not going to say any names still. I haven't thus far, just because I don't want there to be any hurt feelings. I don't want to cause any tension or drama, and just like with things of favoritism or anything of that sort. I'm a very non-confrontational person, so I'm just gonna refer to them as beta 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, a little bit of distinction. I kind of went over this in the last vlog, but beta 1 is the one who finished first. I have my spreadsheet open right here. She finished on September 7th, 2 days after I sent it to all of them, which is insane, but I love her. And then beta number 2 is that same girl that I referenced in the last vlog who had like just started reading and she really liked Kyle so far. Yeah, that's beta number 2. She finished a few days ago, actually, on the 17th. And then beta number 3 is, I mentioned her a while back, but she's the girl I ended up having to send it to like a couple weeks in advance, just because of her being in a different time zone and time constraints, scheduling, conflictions, all that kind of stuff. So I had to prepare it for her early. And she finished yesterday, actually. I'm so happy because she didn't know if she was gonna be able to finish on time, and luckily she did. I didn't mind either way, but it's cool that she was able to. She has not completed the form yet. I sent out a pretty relatively short Google form that's meant to be for after you finish reading the book, and I think there's like 10 or 11 questions. I don't really know. So I let her know. I reminded her. She said she'll do it as soon as possible. I'm totally okay with that. But we do have the 2 other beta readers feedback. Like, they filled out the form in addition to making like 100 comments on the document, which I highly encourage, and I'll go through that. I'm thinking of splitting this video up in maybe 2 parts, so I will touch on the comments a little bit later. But right now, I just wanted to catch y'all up. Right now, we're going to read through the form. So, in my very sick, congested voice, my throat too, I've been like coughing a lot, so my throat sounds a little bit strained. Anyway, yeah, we'll just go through their responses. Again, I'm not going to say names, but with Google Docs, you could lump it together with like the summary or have a question by question or an individual one. So I'm just gonna go through the summary and then we'll go through each question, and then I'll go and like bounce back and forth between what they have to say about it. Of course, I'm gonna redact any spoilery things. I'm not gonna say that because that ruins the whole reading experience, and this book isn't even out yet, so I'd be doing a disservice to us all. Also, this is a PSA that like beta reader feedback does not have to be scary. I know a lot of people are intimidated by it and they're like, oh my gosh, like this is the worst thing in the world. Like what if people don't like it? What if they have something negative to say? I can't handle criticism. Like, girl, I get you. Me too. To win. However, that's just a necessary part of the process, and honestly, it's a necessary part of life, period. There's really no avoiding it, unfortunately. So, better get used to it now, I guess. But you can see that even if you get a negative comment, it's not mean. Coming from someone who did previously publish a book that has over 100 ratings and reviews on Goodreads, people, like, when they're actually reading the book, not necessarily ARC reviewers, but also them, but like just people reading it, like they purchased it and they read it, they are ruthless. They do not hold back. Beta readers, you don't get that level of flame or that heat, because if you're selecting them carefully and they're people that you respect, that respect you, they know how to kind of do that sandwich method where they're like being respectful and being mindful of it, but also just bringing it to your attention, which that's the whole point. You have to, if you're going to publish, be able to take some level of like, okay, this didn't work for one person, that's okay, that's their opinion, that's fine, that's whatever. Everybody has their own opinion. We do not all have the same opinions, where this world would be vastly different. So just keep that in mind. And one last thing, I have skimmed through the form responses thus far from these two lovely people, although I have not read them in depth yet, so this will kind of be my first time. So I'm going to do a little bit of commentary as I read through them, because I haven't really gotten a chance to process it internally. So we're on this roller coaster ride together. First question: what are your overall thoughts / reactions about my book? And I said this in the video where I sent them off, but the entire purpose of this question was just, I feel like some people get so caught up in the nitty-gritty. It's important to get like a summary, bird's eye view. Yes, other details about the characters, the pacing, the world, the relationships are important, but like, did you enjoy the book? Like, at its core, I want to know, just what did you think about it? If you say it's great, and then in the later questions, I'll get to see why you think it's great, because you're gonna break it down, and vice versa. If you say, it has some room to improve, then instead of me being like, well, how so, the future questions in this form will answer that for me. You know what I mean? So I just want to see like where everybody stands. Beta number 1 said, wow, you far exceeded all my expectations. I think the plot all connected well, and I was very intrigued throughout it. As you can see with the timestamps of my comments, I pulled an all-nighter reading it, which she did, and I'm flattered. And it has that bingeability factor, so be prepared for it to keep you up. That's basically the moral of the story. And then beta number 2 kept it short and sweet, and she said it was amazing, in all caps, and beautifully written and well thought out. So that means the world to me. I think that's definitely a common theme, is like how everything is well thought out, which is good and obviously necessary for a mystery, but it's always a struggle to do that. Even though this is the second mystery I've written, like, I'm not gonna say I'm perfect at it, because I'm far from that. Okay, moving on. This one I'm gonna have to not say some things, so it'll be a little bit of an incomplete answer. This one's all about the plot twist. So it says, let's talk about the plot twist. There were many, ranging from small ones to, of course, the major ones. Were you shocked? Did you guess them? If you did, what could I do to make it less predictable? This is like the biggest thing for me. Because with my last book, everybody was shook to the core at a certain plot twist. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about, with a certain guy whose name may or may not start with X. And people were like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. This was like the best twist of the year. You're like the queen of plot twist, Marcelina. And that put me in a pit of pressure when I started planning and writing and editing this book. Because it's like, oh, well, I don't know how the heck I did that. Can I do it again? Can I go 2 for 2 on the plot twist shock factor? So this is like a really detrimental question to my whole well-being. So beta number 1 said, I was definitely shocked, but it had enough foreshadowing to where you were like, why didn't I connect it? Which is good. But I feel like there could be more time with blank person before blank person dies. It feels almost a little rushed. Part of that might be because I read the book so quickly though. To her point, she is entirely correct. A certain character dies. That's not a spoiler. I actually have an entire writing vlog on my channel that's literally called Writing a Character Death ... So y'all know I might be pulling an Adina kind of moment. Just eliminating characters because I feel like it. Just kidding. It is there for the plot. There is actually substantial depth to that. I'm not just doing it for shock factor, I promise. But their death was something that wasn't last minute. It was planned extensively in my notebook with my outlining. But at the same time, there was almost an enemies to friends to not lovers, but like you'll see the dynamic. But the dynamic's just really different. It's not like an Adina type thing, which I feel like is why Adina's death in Powerless hit so hard, was because from not page 1, but like the first page she was introduced on, we fell in love with her. We were supposed to. She was depicted as this good, innocent, sweet, stable character from the get-go. And Lauren did that intentionally. She gave us no room to question, okay, why is she kind of sus, or she's mean? Like, we got no Blair moment. I actually recently stopped hating Blair and Fearful, but like I was a Blair hater the entire series, I'm not gonna lie. But like, we knew we were supposed to love and root for Adina. She quickly became everyone's favorites, and then to kill her off was like, oh my gosh, like how could you? But I feel like with this character, that's not how it's supposed to go. That's just not their character arc. We are not supposed to like them nor trust them. This is not me spoiling anything and saying that they end up being innocent, because the FMC does have a lot of hesitations and is very skeptical about their intentions and specifically their ties with her missing sister. While they are hiding certain things that, like, and withholding information that is very lethal and dangerous and deadly, and they should not have been doing that, they do have a redemption arc of sorts. And so I feel like that redemption arc happens right before they die, and I feel like that's where it could kind of seem rushed. I know that, and actually my beta readers don't know this, but right before I sent the draft off to them, I added in a whole new scene. And it was really, I don't think it's obvious, hopefully it blends well, and I really like how it turned out. But I just added, I would say, at least like 7 more lines of dialogue in between to like not make it seem so rushed. Let their redemption arc, let their newfound friendship sink in. But clearly I didn't do it well enough, which is fine, but I need to do more work on that. So it's good that someone is confirming what I already suspected, so I'm not just crazy for like doubting myself about that. And then beta number 2, we're still on the plot twist question. Beta number 2 said, I was very shocked, but some of them I did predict. I think they're not too predictable though, and they're perfect the way they are because plot twists should have hints anyway, which is good. I know that like some of them are more obvious than others, but I think it's also that quality of, you're still shocked because you knew something, but you didn't really expect it to happen. Like, you're like, oh yeah, they're probably XYZ. But then when it happens, you're like, oh wait, I wasn't being serious about that. Or like, oh wait, like it's actually happening. So there's a lot of those too. So it's hard to gauge, but she's right. All plot twists should have foreshadowing. That's really how you do a good twist. But maybe I'll reevaluate and like see if I could pull back a little bit on some of the more obvious foreshadowing for some of the less obvious twists. These next 2 are probably like my favorite questions. I don't know why, I love them. Okay, so one question said, who was your favorite and least favorite character? Was the character development good for all of them? Okay, beta 1 said, that's so hard. Real girl, real. I mean, honestly, I know this never usually happens, but I have to say Natalia was my favorite. Natalia is the female main character, by the way. Her character was just constructed really well, and I loved her personality. Least favorite, Michael. Obviously. I don't think I have to explain, but he is a monster. I think the character development was good for all of them. Yeah, he is. I don't have to say anything. I really don't, but valid. And then beta number 2 said, my favorite was probably Era. Oh, I love that. Era, she has such a special place in my heart. I loved her personality. At the start, I hated a certain character that I probably shouldn't say. I loved everyone's development, but sometimes they made me mad because they kept hiding things from Natalia. true. The miscommunication trope, unfortunately, is at the front line for a lot of this book. But it's for a good reason, but it's still there. And then she said, my least favorites were Stephanie and Michael. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah. She's so real for that. Going along with that, it's in the similar vein, because I just wanted to see like on kind of a pros and cons like side, so I can know, okay, what should I touch and what should I not touch? You know what I mean? Like if there's a universal favorite character and favorite scene and favorite chapter, like I don't want to start tweaking it and rewriting it completely, because I hate it, but I'm a perfectionist. But then I actually had these rose-colored glasses, this writer blindness on, and then it's actually a beloved chapter. You know what I mean? So with the next question, I asked, what was your favorite and least favorite scene or chapter? Why? If they could remember, which luckily they both filled out the form almost immediately after they finished, so they had a pretty good recollection of the whole book. But beta number 1 said, favorite scene is hard, honestly, but probably the whole section of where Natalia is hacking to figure out Kyle's background. And Kyle comes, and then the rooftop scene. The rooftop scene. I have hyped that up so much on my channel. You guys have no idea what you're walking into. It is so bittersweet in so many ways. And then, okay, least favorite would probably be a certain thing with a certain main character, kind of. I don't want to say it because it is pretty spoilery, but it's just a kind of triggering thing. This book does have trigger warnings. I haven't finalized a list yet, but there are trigger warnings of coercion and like grooming and a teacher-student essay situation going on. So her least favorite scene had to do with that, because she said it made her uncomfortable, which is so valid, and I need to keep that in mind as to whether or not I should tone it back or not. Because on the one hand, like I want it to make people uncomfortable, as like crazy as that sounds, it's really, really, really important for the overall message of this book, the themes. Like I want it to make people a little on edge, but also I don't want to like cross any lines. And then beta number 2 said, not sure. I loved the epilogue and the bonding scene between Natalia and that one character that dies, which that's the scene that I was just talking about that I just wrote before I sent it to them. So the fact that that's her favorite scene is like, whoa. Early September me, she knew what she was doing. She had a good idea. She said it was very well thought out. I appreciate that. And then she said, I don't really have a least favorite scene, but I think the way, oh yeah, so there was just kind of a creepy thing that Jaden did that was just like off-putting a little bit, which he already did something else weird, but like we're not gonna get into that. Okay, I'm on the fence about this anyway, because a lot of, like all 3 of my beta readers who have gotten to that point already have been like, what the heck? So maybe it's not necessary. Cool. Okay, this one surprised me. So I wanted to have a question all about the FMC, because I think the FMC really carries, because the book is like 90% in her POV. Like she's vital to everything. So I asked, let's talk Natalia. What are your general impressions of her? Was her internal conflict strong enough? Was she annoying? A little too smart for her age? Did you enjoy the hacking scenes? Because this girl's a hacker, so there's a lot of like 4-paragraph long descriptions of her hacking and what she does, and like she's using all these techie terms, which was really fun. The reason I really want to emphasize this, that I was like asking all these, was she annoying? Was she too smart? Okay, this only really applies if you've read the book that divides us. Like you can only really have a reaction to this if you know Alyssa, who's the main character in that one. I'm not even kidding when I tell you how many reviews I got where people said that they did not like Alyssa. I'm not kidding. That was in like almost every single bad review, but then even like a 3 or 4-star review, I count 3-star reviews as good. Okay, I don't know if that's me being defensive as an author, but I think 3-star reviews are fine. Where people are like, I actually didn't like Alyssa that much. I like this book mainly because of this other character. I'm like, oh shoot. It's not really supposed to work that way. I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of people loved her. I've had a lot of people make edits of Alyssa. Like, people adore her. But for some reason, a lot of my ARC readers especially, no shade to them, of course it's their opinion, I was just talking about opinions, but like they didn't like her. They thought she was a pick-me, they thought she came off as annoying. I low-key think it's just a trend though, because Alyssa and Shannon Lynch from the Boys of Tommen series have a lot of similarities. They both come from very like physically abusive households. It's like there's a lot of bullying and trauma and stuff related to that. So I always compared Alyssa to Shannon, like they are literally one and the same. And I don't know if you guys know all of like the Binding 13 talk. It's one of my favorite series, but still, people hate on Shannon unfairly. Guys, please respectfully shut up. She's one of my favorite book characters, but everyone's always like just talking about like how her internal conflict and internal monologue and how she views herself and how it's like really cringy or like pick me. She has severe anxiety, depression, she's been bullied all her life, she's been physically and verbally abused all her life. Like, guys, what? Where did our empathy go? You think something she says is cringy because she has trauma? Since when is trauma cringy? Because that's basically what y'all are saying. So it's just really annoying, and I feel like that was kind of the same kind of thing that people were saying about Alyssa, which is like crazy. I mean, of course, people like Shannon and people like Alyssa who have unfortunately abusive fathers, they might be a little pick-me-ish because they have daddy issues. They're going to seek male validation. That's just psychology. That's how things work. So like, I don't even know. But people hated, like certain people hated Alyssa with a passion, and it really hurt me because you're not supposed to hate the main character of a book. Hate the love interest. All I care. I don't really care. But like the main character, they're supposed to have the best development, the best arc, the best personality and internal conflict and everything. And the fact that a lot of people unfortunately just didn't feel that way about Alyssa made me feel like I failed, because that's not how it should work. So I really want to redeem myself, even though like I know I have nothing to prove to these people. It's just their opinion. I don't agree with it. I know a lot of other people don't agree with it, but I want to redeem myself nonetheless. I want to have an FMC that is amazing, that people will put in their bios, that people will make edits of. Like, I want Natalia to be that it girl. And in many ways, she doesn't have the same trauma, so she's not at all the same to Alyssa. And it was really fun to explore a totally, vastly different kind of character. But I wanted to see if I was executing her in the way that I intended. So that's what this question was for. But I'm actually really pleased with the answers I received. So from beta number 1, she said, as I said earlier, absolutely loved her. I could definitely see her conflict, and I love how you explained the hacking scenes. I think she's genuinely a very well-rounded character. Sigh of relief. That's good to hear. And then my second beta reader backed it up with even more in-depth feedback. She said, really interesting. Amazing internal conflict. I would say, yeah, she was a little smart for her age, because she's only supposed to be 16. I agree. Maybe you could show flashbacks or mention her learning process on hacking. The hacking scenes were fun, but sometimes I would lose focus because I feel like she's so much smarter than me. Oh, wow. That's totally fine. I was messaging this girl and I was like, low-key, you're right about that, because I'm almost the same age as her. I'm gonna be 16 in November, in just a couple of months. Do I even understand a word of what I typed? That she's very fluent in that language of hacking and coding, and no, I'm not. And you may be like, well, Marcelina, why the heck did you decide to write a book with a hacker, super techie, computer genius main character if you don't know the first thing about hacking? Beats me. Could not tell you, but I did it, and I really like it, and yeah. And I did research some things, but some things I just took the liberty of creation, and I'm praying that I don't get some super smart tech genius reading this book who's like, this is wrong. It adds a lot to her character as a whole to make her well-rounded. Yeah, maybe I could find a way to like explain so it's not just like, oh, so she's smart for the sake of the plot, but like that's not realistic because how did this come about? Like I do really like her idea of maybe showing a flashback, so maybe I'll like add that in there. I could find a place to squeeze even just like a, I don't know, 300 word couple of paragraphs, which is not that long, not that bad. I could totally do that. Okay, then going along with that, I have a question about Era. Era is a side character. She is a pretty major one. She is a key member in the Bureau, which is like this government organized secret society type of thing. She is the like forensic analyst, data decoder. She's very smart. She's mute, so that's where like the mute disability rep comes in. She's hiding a lot of secrets. She's very sarcastic, bitter, and holds grudges, and a fashionista. I want to talk about her. So I said, Era, our firecracker diva. What are your opinions on her / how did I execute her personality? Because I feel like her personality can be a hit or miss. Like, she does give Mean Girl sometimes, but that was my intention. So if they said that, I'd be doing my job correctly. And then Beta 1 said, I think you executed her personality very well. I overall like her and her scenes with just her and Natalia, which there are a couple, but I might want to do another one because their friendship is at the highlight and at the forefront of this story, and I love it, and it spreads such a good message, even though it's really rocky. But they give such frenemies. That's kind of nice to have, to break up that typical, like, oh, the FMC gets along with any girl that she meets and they instantly become besties. So it's fun to play around with. And then Beta number 2 said something very similar. She was like, I love her, I love how complex she is, and how you executed her was perfect, which is good. She is very complex. Like, it's complex character at its finest, although like the majority of the cast are the same way. So please have empathy for every single one of them. And then I have something about Allison. How do you feel about her backstory? Did it feel too triggering, too subtle? I don't think I want to really talk about it because a lot of her character in and of itself, since she's like the missing girl, is supposed to be under wraps, and I don't want to give something away that y'all are going to read into too much and then you immediately know everything, and then that actually unintentionally spoils things for you. I will say though, the general consensus just from these two people, I make it sound like I have like 10 beta readers, but they both think that the backstory connects well. It was well thought out, it was traumatizing and so sad, it felt realistic. Both basically said that it was a bit triggering, but one person said, as long as I put trigger warnings, she said it should be fine, which I do have those. I haven't written them yet, but they are in the front matter, so it's one of those things. I don't want to go on a tangent about Boys of Tommen again, because this is not the video to dissect that book series, but that's one of the things that really annoys me, is when people are like, I gave really like any of the books 1 star, I DNF'd it because it was just straight. One person was like, this is just straight essay. Like, oh, okay. Well, you know there's trigger warnings, right? You know that was like disclaimed to you at the beginning of the book, and then if you look the book up, and then like almost every single person who does a reading vlog or a book review or any kind of video about the series literally tells you to check trigger warnings. So if you don't, that's kind of your fault. But it's really irritating how people hate on a book for being too intense, too graphic, when there were trigger warnings and you just chose to ignore them. That's like saying that the cliff that you climbed up was really, really steep and dangerous when there was a sign at the bottom that said, do not climb cliff, it is very steep. And you saw that, you ignored it, you chose to climb the cliff anyway. You have no room to complain that it was steep when the sign literally told you it was. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. I think that's always been my thing too. It's like, I'm warning you guys ahead of time, so just be prepared for that. And if you don't think you are, just don't read this book at all. But I am considering trimming back a little bit on some of her POV chapters, just making things a little less intense, like not spelling it out as much, just kind of leaving it for your imagination. Maybe that'll help it be a little bit less triggering. Okay, I definitely do not want to talk about this question. This question is a very spoilery one. It literally, word for word, spells out a plot twist. And that's not good. So we're not gonna get to that. Ooh, okay. Let me clear my throat for this one. So, as you may or may not know, labeled innocent, presumed dead does in fact have a love triangle. I said what I said. Don't sue me. Don't cancel me. Do not come for me, please. And thank you. Now, I know this could be easily the biggest mistake of my life and my career by putting in the most hated trope of all time that everyone and their mothers hates into a book with decent potential. I know that could come back to bite me in the butt, but I'm willing to take that risk because I actually don't think love triangles are that bad. Whoa, breaking news, hot take. I may have just shattered your world with that one, but I really don't get the hate think it fits really well. Jaden is one of the MMCs. He's like a flirty golden retriever kind of guy. Then we have Kyle. He's the leader of the organization. He kind of has that like authority figure, morally gray kind of vibe going on. So those are Natalia's love interests. And I promise she does choose one. It's not like an I choose myself. There's no possibility for that. But I needed to make sure that I wasn't going completely haywire. Like, there's still time for me to change something if everyone is unanimous on I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. So I had to ask, I know love triangles are often a hit or miss, but do you think I executed this one well? If not, why? Was the blank endgame too predictable or annoying, or did you find yourself rooting for him in the end? Beta number 1 said, I overall think it was really good, but of course from the beginning I was team endgame guy, ride or die, so I might not be the best opinion. But one thing I like is how it wasn't like I loved and hated, which I find rarely happens in love triangles. She actually liked both of them, and it wasn't just like, she didn't just pick a bias and then even if that bias didn't get with Natalia, she hated the guy that did get with her, you know what I mean? Like, there was just a neutrality with all of them, but she did have her preference, but like, there's not one that's significantly better than the other. And the second beta reader essentially said the same thing. She goes, I don't like love triangles, to be very honest, but I think you did it really well. Both guys were likable and had their reasons not to be good for her. And she just kind of says it was a little bit predictable, like who Natalia ended up with, just due to a couple different factors, but she did like the endgame guy. Although she preferred the other guy, she's still happy with it. Like, she's not mad. So I'm happy with it. No one's really mad. That's good. Okay, we're just gonna do 2 more. I'm gonna skip one. Pacing. Big sigh right now, because pacing is something I've always struggled with. That's what I said in the comment. It is very true. I just have this tendency to move too fast, too fast, too fast. Like, I just want to speed through everything. I have no concept of time. In real life, too. Fun fact, if you know me IRL, I'll be asking you, wait, like, what day is it? I have no perception of time. Time, like, hours slips away from me, but days, too, and, like, months, I'm like, I will literally write on my test that it is 2024, and we are more than halfway through 2025. I actually just did that yesterday in chemistry, so embarrassing. But I don't know, I'm just so caught up in my own world and my own things that just time slips away from me, and I think that infiltrates my writing. I can't get a grasp on, okay, let's pace ourselves, let's break things up. I just wanted to ask, like, did the book move too fast or too slow? So beta number 1 said, pacing was good overall, but I also read the book really fast, so sometimes that affected it. Though there is one part. And then she goes on to basically say there was a certain scene in the forest where Natalia, like, finds a letter, and then there's, like, and she made comments of this too, like, in the actual doc, so I know exactly what she's referring to because I saw it live while she was reading it. Then Era, like, finds the note, and then, like, there's a missing necklace. There's, like, 5 different notes in that scene, written by different people, and then a couple of them are written by the same person. It's just very confusing, I'll admit. Like, it's definitely a lot. She said, I feel like it went a little bit too fast. I was struggling to figure out which note was from which person. That's what I'm saying. I feel like I don't know what to do about that, because I'm not gonna cut out the notes. The note that she's referring to that Natalia finds, like the main letter that she finds in the mud, is crucial. You guys don't even know, and you guys can't know how important it is, but also it's referenced heavily throughout the entire book, like the wording, and then also how that could be a lie, and how the reality of it, the facade, is shattered in the last few chapters, and who actually wrote it. And then, like, there's a certain signature that is foreshadowing, but it's also an introduction of the main antagonist. So there's just a lot going on. That letter is really important. I cannot delete that. It's also hard because the other few notes she's referring to that Era wrote, Era is mute, like I said earlier, and so she can only communicate via sign language, but Natalia doesn't know sign language till a little bit later. Then she learns it because she knows it's important for a case, and she's also getting closer to her. But at the time, this is fairly early on in the story, and Era really only writes in a notebook. Occasionally she'll write on like the notes app of her phone, but she'll mainly write in a notebook or just pieces of paper. So like that's really significant. So like I don't know how else I'm gonna do that. Like I get what she's saying, but it's like I kind of have to have all of them there, but I don't want to start dragging things out for like filler purposes. But if it's going to like boom 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 to the point of not even like, whoa, there's a lot happening, this is keeping me on the edge of my seat, but like a okay, like I'm lost kind of way, I don't want that. So we'll put a pin in that. I'll revisit that later and figure out what I want to do. And then my second beta reader, oh my gosh, she's awesome. She just said, oh, the pacing was perfect, I think. Why, thank you. I appreciate that. Not that I don't appreciate like the detailed feedback, but it's just nice to know like, oh, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't doubt myself as much as I do, because I was really, really, really stressed about the pacing, but except for that little thing, like, it's actually not as bad as I was anticipating. Shocker. Okay, and then the last thing I want to get to, it's the last section. Actually, this was the only non-required question. You'll see why. Because I literally just said, anything else to add, any comments, suggestions, opinions, or in final notes. Just anything that they wanted to mention to me that they didn't, there was no, like, appropriate place in the form. Like, there was no, like, designated question for it, but they just have something kind of random or something else to put. I just want to give people a chance to like kind of get their final thoughts so that I could really just get as much and as wide diverse feedback and opinions as I possibly could from these people who were like dedicating so much time to it. Like I might as well try to get the most out of them. So beta number 1 kept it short. She said, other than all my comments in the document, I can't think of anything. So that's good. She did leave a lot of comments. I have to check exactly how many she left. You know what, why don't we do that right now? Because I have to pull up the comments anyway. So, oh my gosh, why do I have so many tabs open? That's crazy. Okay, so I think this is her copy? Question mark? Oh, never mind, that's not the right one. That's beta number 3. She left 234 comments. Dang, I love her so much. Oh my gosh, the fact that she took the time to do that. Oh yeah, I clicked on the wrong one anyway. Okay. Let's go to beta number 1. It looks like, yes, 140 comments, which is really, really, really impressive still, and I'm grateful for each and every one of them. So I don't mind the fact that she's kind of directing it to that, because that's going to be really, really helpful. And I'll read, this video is getting so long, but I think this was a big part of it, so I'll read a few of her other comments, but that might be in part 2, so that might be in next week's vlog. But I really want to focus on the form, so once I finish reading this, I'm going to do some notebooking to try and organize this so that I can make a game plan, because I need a game plan if I'm going to start editing today or tomorrow. But then beta number 2's response to this final comment actually really piqued my interest. So she said, I think some of the characters acted a lot older than they were, which makes sense due to being forced to grow up so soon, but you should include hints of their youth too. Like in 6 of Crows, you forget that they're only teenagers, but then they start cracking jokes. And I'm still confused about, like, there was a certain, I guess you could say, familial status, dynamic, just a very logistical detail between Natalia, Allison, and then, like, their parents, Stephanie and Sean. And so she was just a little bit confused about, like, the specifics of that. But she did message me, and then I private messaged her, like, the answer. So she knows now, but, like, she doesn't think it was answered in the book, which it was, but I was going back and forth so I could see where the confusion would come in. And then with the thing where she said that the characters acted a lot older than they were, this might be one of the ones I agree to disagree on. I do agree to an extent. I just feel like I did put a lot of jokes in there. There were a lot, especially with some of like the flirty lines. I definitely think Kyle, that wouldn't apply to if I were to take her advice and like sprinkle in some jokes and lighthearted banter to like ease up on the mood and tension, because that's just Kyle's character. Trying to make Kyle's character lighthearted or even just sprinkle in some elements is going to convolute it, and it's going to dilute his entire arc. And I just have a very certain vision for him that has been shaped by his childhood and his past, and I don't I want it to basically be all gray, cloudy skies for him. Natalia, that kind of goes along with like, oh, Natalia being a little too smart too. So with her, that could be a common theme that I could try to not like dumb her down, because again, that's going to ruin the entire point of what I wanted to do with her character. Oh, I was so confident about making her character something memorable. So, I don't have to decide this right now. I am giving myself 3 weeks to make all of these edits, plus the other girls who, she did all the comments in the document, but she still has to submit the form, and then another beta reader who's still currently reading the book. I have to add in all of them. I'm just going with half of it right now because this is what I have. But we'll see what the other people say. I might try to sprinkle in some other moments. There are definitely some, like, I don't even want to say immature, but like you could tell these are teenagers with some of the decisions that they make. They are not the most responsible decision makers, excluding Kyle. Like I said, Kyle is like astronomically years ahead of them, but for good reason. I feel like that is kind of a common critique that I've seen a lot of YA, like even best-selling YA novels receive, is that the supposed teenage characters don't act like teenagers, they act like adults, like they act older. So it's interesting to get that feedback on my teen characters, because Natalia's 16, they're all 17, and then Santiago is 21. So there's that kind of range, but it's weird because I'm 15. So the fact that I wrote characters, like I'm already writing characters that are older than me, but the fact that someone thinks that they're like older than that, like, so I know how to write good adult characters, what we're going with. Okay, I'm not gonna be mad at that. Anyway, there's one final part to beta number 2's comment. She said, wrapping it up, I loved your book and the found family. I loved them all so much. The plot was very thoughtfully planned out, and you're an amazing writer, and you could just tell the amount of effort you put into this book. That is really sweet. Like, when I first read this, it melted my heart. I'm so grateful that she said that and that she agreed to do this, and then the fact that my hard work is being recognized and anyone thinks that about me, like thinks that I'm an amazing writer, it's heartwarming, and I really, really appreciate it more than anyone will ever know. And it's a good confidence booster. I'm a massive overthinker, not just about writing, but about every aspect of my life. I constantly overthink my abilities, my talent, how much I'm capable of. So the fact that her feedback is coming at a really good time, a really good place in my life where I need all of the support and confidence I can get, it's great. So that makes me feel good. The found family, also, side note, is something I'm really heavily relying on. And that, like, of course, yeah, there's a lot of romance in this book. There's a love triangle, obviously. But the found family is, like, one of the main tropes that, aside from that, like, I'm also really trying to spotlight, because I think those are my 2 favorite tropes. Any kind of romance trope, any kind of, like, enemies to lovers. But this isn't an enemies to lovers. I just want to put that out there. This is more of, like, I would call it a reluctant allies to lovers kind of vibe for like one of the guys in Natalia, and the other guy more like a friends to lovers kind of thing. And then, but it's like a enemies to lovers, ex-lovers to enemies, so there's like the flip-flop trope, but like any kind of romance mixed with found family, chef's kiss perfection. So I really, really wanted to put an emphasis on that, and clearly that's conveyed well. So yay! Okay, I think that wraps it up for the form, so I'm going to take a break. I've been staring at the screen for quite a while, and my voice is dying. But when I come back, I don't know if I will be in the same outfit. I probably will. We'll see how much time I realistically take to give myself a break. But when I come back, I will be making a game plan in my notebook. So I'll see you guys later. Okay, a little update. I just ate dinner, and I think my plan is I'm gonna go through on my laptop, which is still in my walk-in closet. I'm gonna move to the living room, but I'm gonna go through and we're gonna switch gears from the forums, since I realized I didn't have a lot of like super ultra specific things to go off of if I'm going to start editing tomorrow. And I'm gonna start looking through the comments. I may vlog some of that, I might do some of that on my own, but basically I'm gonna go through the comments, and I think I'm gonna do a mixture of going through my notebook and like marking this up and making a whole page dedicated to it so that I can organize like general things. But then what I'm going to do is I already created the copy of the document, so I've already started draft 3. And remember how I mentioned in draft 2, which is the developmental self-edits, there were a couple of things that I skipped over because I was in such a rush to send betas. Those comments are still in the document, and I just copied those over to draft 3. So draft 3 has those like 50 or whatever comments still left. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, pull up all 3 of the beta readers documents who have finished reading, who have marked it up with 100 plus comments, or in beta number 3's case, 200 plus comments, which is absolutely amazing. Half of their comments were reactionary things, just being like, maybe even like 3/4, essentially being like, no way he just said that, haha, she's such an icon, I love her, like just like little comments and annotations, which is what I encourage them to do. And only, I would say, maybe 25 to 30% of those 150, 200 comments are like actual critiques or suggestions. Beta number 2 by far had like the most constructive criticism, which I really appreciate. You have no idea, since I'm not hiring a professional editor with this, she was literally the closest thing to a professional editor I've ever had, and I absolutely owe all my gratitude to her for that. So I'm gonna go through, and only not for the reactionary stuff, I'm still gonna like screenshot it and share it with you guys and treasure it, but I'm specifically looking for the points that they left a suggestion, an opinion, anything of that sort. Any comment like that, I'm going to copy and paste that straight over and make a new comment highlighting whatever line they left it on in my fresh new draft 3 document, if that makes any sense. So I'll hopefully share the process. We're going to start today, see how far I get, and maybe it'll make more sense to you then. That's the plan. Currently 6:30 p.m. on the same day, Saturday, September 20th. I don't know if you can tell, my eyes are like itchy and irritated because I have spent the last 2 hours laser focused staring at my computer screen trying to reformat my spreadsheet that contains like all of the form responses, because technically if you look on Google Forms there is a button in the top right corner that's like linked to Sheets or something, and like it'll automatically transfer it to a spreadsheet for you, but the formatting was super weird when I did that, so I tried to fix it but it wasn't working the way I intended it to, so I ended up just scrapping it and doing it manually. So I've been trying to like manually import all of the like questionnaire long answers into an organized spreadsheet where I can just kind of like have them on one screen instead of having to scroll. It's more for just organizational purposes, so I know what the heck I'm doing and it'll help me kind of visualize it better, and I'm going to do that for the other 2 beta readers when they finish. But it's one of those things, it's like a very necessary part of the process, and my future self will be thanking me. Like it's definitely going to benefit me, but it sucks right now to have to do.
Before it leaves your lips, you've tied the noose, and then you let it slip from under you. I hope the hell feels good. Me and my girls, yeah, call us a coven. When it comes to loving, they got my back when I go on trusting boys like you. You're gone and buried the cemetery. Boy, ain't it scary? R.I.P. you're dead to me. You're gone and buried. I hope you're ready. Boy, ain't it scary? R.I.P. you're dead to me. Cross my broken heart. I hope you die. Cross my broken heart.
Hi guys, I swear this entire vlog is just gonna be on Saturday. Like, it is still Saturday. It's now 10:24 p.m. I just thought this was the perfect time to give an update. We have been like comment line beta editing. Like I was saying earlier, I've kind of gotten off the spreadsheet, but we're just going through. Don't know how you can see this, but I have all 3 documents. So this is one beta readers, another beta readers, another beta readers. This is my document, and then what I'm doing is I'm just flicking through. I'm going page by page, and then I'm like looking at each person's document and what each person commented, and then like making the necessary changes. That's just for line stuff. If it's big stuff, that's what goes on the spreadsheet. So, and my notebook, but I don't have my notebook. It's in my bedroom now. So we're just doing like the smaller things that they caught, but I'm trying to like get them all in one sweep. So we're just doing 3 documents, and then anyway, It's gonna take a long time, but I feel like it's more efficient, oddly enough. We're on chapter 2. We are about halfway through chapter 2 at this point, so I got through the prologue, chapter 1, and now this is where I'm at. So we're making some progress, which I'm happy about. I'll update you guys tomorrow though. I need to stop this, rest my eyes, and get some sleep. Okay, also guys, this is gonna be kind of an unrelated side note, but I'm like so giddy right now. I can't even contain my excitement. I actually was so excited that I rushed to make like a lip syncing video kind of announcing this. So if when you're seeing this on Friday, I should have posted it on Monday, and a community post to go along with it. But basically, to keep this short and sweet, there's this lovely, super sweet, super intelligent teen writer on this platform named Julia. Her official handle, I believe, is at Julia Knight the author. I will link her in the description down below. She's amazing, go check her out. But she announced that she was running a podcast a couple of weeks ago where she was essentially going to kind of have an overarching theme of like writing advice, so like opening lines, descriptive writing, stuff like that. She would talk about that a little, give examples, analyze things to help other fellow writers, in addition to picking one piece that was submitted, like that authors could submit either anonymously or with their name. So like a chapter or a scene that she would kind of read out loud, critique, give any advice to, whatnot, see how that relates to like the overarching theme, and then she would review a book at the end. Anyway, it was a super cool concept. She put out a form for writers to submit any chapters or scenes that they wanted her to review. And I was on the fence about it. I really wasn't gonna do it at first because I, quite frankly, I didn't know if I was ready to submit like the prologue or chapter 1 or even chapter 2 to someone else. Like, I feel like I'm still on beta edits. I'm still running it through their eyes. For it to be on a public podcast was a little bit nerve-wracking, but I ultimately decided to do it because I was like, I just want someone else to read it. So I chose the prologue and I submitted the prologue because I figured that's going to be the first thing anyway. I'm pretty confident about the first chapter and feel like it's pretty solid, but the prologue is what I am kind of hesitant about. And it doesn't matter how good chapter 1 is, if people can't get past the prologue, if it doesn't sit right with them, if they just don't like the style because it's a flashback from an 11-year-old girl's POV, they're never gonna make it to the first chapter, so it doesn't even matter. So I was like, I'm gonna submit this. Any feedback, any extra opinions on this is amazing. Like, I need all the help I can get because everybody knows like the opening few paragraphs and few pages of your book is what really can make or break sales. You can either hook readers or lose readers. So anyway, I submitted it. She reviewed it on her podcast for this week. She spent like 10 minutes dedicating an episode to it. She read it out loud, she gave her thoughts, and I just sat here grinning to myself, kicking my feet and giggling, and taking notes. If you can see, I have a things I did well section and a things I could do better section. That section's blank because she had no critiques. She could not pinpoint something that I could do better. She loved it. Like, loved it. Y'all should totally go check out the episode on your own. It's amazing. And because she reads it out loud, y'all get to hear and listen to the prologue that I haven't even released yet. So how cool is that? I will leave a link to this episode that is on Spotify in the description down below so you can go check it out. But essentially, to recap and to highlight some of the things she thought I did really well, she thought my first line and opening sentences were amazing. They intrigued her and left her with a lot of questions, which is good. And not like the bad questions or like the this is kind of a plot hole type question. No. The like, I'm intrigued, I immediately want to know what happens kind of questions. And that's exactly what you want your first line to do. Then she said the description is there because the theme of the podcast this week was all about description. That was the whole focal point. So she was like looking at mine with very keen eyes and she was very pleased with what she saw. Specifically, there was like house imagery when Natalia was describing like their house and what it looked like and how it was furnished and her opinion about it. And so yeah, and then she went on to say at the end of the podcast episode that she couldn't find a single place in those 2.5 pages that she felt like needed more description. So that is amazing. She also said that the internal conflict is strong from the dialogue alone, but like in general with Natalia's thoughts, even though she's only 11 years old, and you know, her thoughts are a little bit like less advanced, they're more basic, but the internal conflict is there right off the bat from the fight with Allison and her mom, like boom, boom, boom. It all ties in, it's cohesive, and something kind of random, but she loves the fonts I used for the chapter header and like the sub header where I do the dates, because it's a flashback, so I had to put the dates. But I'm just like, I'm really, really excited. Thank you so much, Julia, if you're watching this. I love you so much. You're the best. You're the greatest. I really hope that more people discover your podcast, not just for me, but you're so underrated. Your podcast is underrated. Y'all should totally go check that out, because being featured made my day, and the fact that she had so much to say, like so much praise to give me about my prologue, it really just gave me more motivation. So I'm gonna go edit right now, because I really, really want to after all the kind things she said. So, yay!
And I've been chilling, watching the ocean with you, baby, up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our cloudlands when people change, but not us. And we just chillin', kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the mall soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding. And I'll be running, possessed by a low, low voodoo. Fired up like a wolf on a full moon. And we're stuck in a la la land. The tides will turn without us. And I'll be killing.
Y'all, I'm gonna give you no context with this whatsoever, but one of my baby readers just left a comment that said, get with your sister's old boyfriend instead. That is crazy. Don't even with me, because I thought about it. I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm not gonna tell you if it's canon or not, but I did think about it. So she's reading my mind. That's so unhinged. I can't even imagine them together. Oh my gosh.
Okay guys, on second thought, I think I'm gonna end this video here. It is getting so long. I still have to edit a few clips. It's currently Wednesday, September 24th or 25th. I don't really know, 24th, I think. I don't know. It's late. I've been busy all day. I just got home. I'm exhausted, and I'm pretty sure there's over an hour of footage here, and I feel really bad. So if you stuck until the end, I love you so much. You are the best. You are a real one for that, and I appreciate it dearly. I sincerely hope you enjoyed this. I know it may not seem like super productive, but I promise I have been. Next week's video, which I will label and consider part 2 of this like reacting to / implementing / editing with beta reader feedback. I promise that will be so much more productive. I'm actually going to show more time lapses of me working and not just talking. I feel like I was talking a lot about my feedback. As I mentioned in an earlier clip, like as editing me mentioned, my third beta reader did submit the form. That was what you saw me giggling over, and I will go over her responses in the next video, so I am gonna have to talk a little bit about that, but I promise it won't be as long as these two, because I actually have some legitimate editing to do, and now that I have these 3, I have no excuses. I have to sit down this weekend, and only this weekend because I'm too busy this week. I did do something productive today in math class though. I worked on a deadline, and I now know when my cover reveal day is. I'm just gonna announce it here because I highly doubt that anyone, maybe like one person, watched this whole thing. So I'm just gonna say this. The cover reveal for Label Innocent Presumed Dead is happening on November 21st. Super exciting. I still don't have a blurb reveal date. I typically, for my last book, which I want to do the same thing, I don't have to, but I want to, I did the blurb reveal, I want to say like 3 days, 2 or 3 days before the cover reveal. I don't want to do it on the same day because the cover reveal day, I'll talk more about it later, but it's a really big day. I have some big things planned with some other influencers. I'm going to be doing collaborations. It's just such an exciting day. That's also when the pre-orders go live, so it's a really big deal. I like it to have its moment in the spotlight and not the blurb, because the blurb is like something that people are going to be really excited over too, so I like to split them up. But I was doing that and I figured that out, and yeah, that's what I got. But also I need to keep in mind that there is no point in doing a cover reveal if I don't have a publishing ready manuscript, and at the moment I do not. I don't have anything to show for that. Anyway, we're gonna end this. I'm just so grateful for all my beta readers. I am considering bringing one more on that will go with that other IRL friend. I'll talk more about this later because I'm still very much on the fence and I have to contact her, so like no pressure whatsoever and no promises, but we will see. Experience has been really solid so far. The interactions with the beta readers, they're also sweet. Their feedback, as you can tell, very helpful, very insightful, but also like very rewarding as an author, especially the reactions. It is everything I wanted and more. Like the fact that it almost, I think every one of them said it made them cry at one point, or like there was a point where they're like, I'm tearing up, like all 3 of them. Like that is crazy. Making someone cry is not something you would usually flex about, but I feel like as a writer you can flex about it, so that's what I'm doing. All in all, we're moving forward in a pretty positive way, so I'm happy with that. I hope all of your current reads and writing projects, if you are a writer, are going well. All of the links that I mentioned in this video and all of my links in general, purchase my book, my other social media, which I don't really have any other social media. I just have YouTube, Pinterest, and Spotify, which I don't really consider social media, but you know what I mean. All of those will be in the description down below, and I will see you all in the next video very soon. Bye!